juvenile records in the NICS background check system. For firearms purchasers under 21, this requires that their juvenile records be accessed in the course of an instant background check when they're purchasing a firearm. Our position on this is that our mission is to support law-abiding gun owners to protect themselves and their families. Individuals that commit violent crimes, regardless of their age, shouldn't possess a firearm, period.
The hot button issues that felons run into, or just prohibited possessors in general. So maybe someone had a stint when they were 20 as an involuntary mental patient or something like that. So it's not necessarily someone only who was convicted of a felony. You could be a prohibited possessor for a wide range of criteria. Maybe you're an unlawful user of some sort of controlled substance, such as THC, which under federal law, that's the way it stands right now.
A lot of people are touting this law because it closes the so-called boyfriend loophole. It prohibits individuals who are convicted of misdemeanor domestic abuse from possessing a firearm. This right to possess a firearm is then restored 5 years after the criminal sentence is complete if the individual has committed no further violent crimes. The USCCA position on this is that individuals who break the law are by definition not law-abiding firearms owners. The USCCA stands for protecting ourselves and our loved ones and others, and this includes preventing individuals who prey on those closest to them from obtaining a firearm.
Hey there, freedom fighters. I'm coming back at you with another Manic Monday rant, and it is gonna be manic. Now, this is a video that I've been wanting to do for a while, and if you've been following me for some time, you've probably heard me say before, I'm gonna do this USCCA video, and I've covered plenty of these Fudd gun organizations before, and I've been meaning to do this video, and I was going through my old computer and my old laptop. I've been going through all my old files and everything, and I found some old video that I captured of the USCCA, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and cover these guys and go over some of the stuff that they've done and their reputation as of lately. People have already blown the lid on these guys, and plenty of channels have talked about them, but at the time of when I was going to do this video, I was going to kind of break it loose and point out that these guys aren't who you think they are. But anyway, it still needs to be said, and I feel like it still needs to be covered. So, we're going to get into it. And I'm going to try to edit these videos in, but my editing software has been really screwed up. All my computers have been screwed up. I think I talked about how I was trying to build a new computer, but with rapid inflation and everything going on, it's crazy, man. I had the parts in my cart that I was going to purchase, and the motherboard and the RAM and all this stuff, literally tripled, if not even 5x. The RAM was $25, and now it's $125. All these components went up. I think totally it was around $1,200 to $1,400 that I had in the cart that I was gonna do, and then I went back and refreshed it, and it turned out to be over $3,000. I think it was $3,500, and I was that's insane. But anyway, I'm gonna get to this videos here. But this one episode I saw, he was talking with Tom Greaves. Now, he has his own channel. I believe he's a lawyer or something like that. And this is the gripe I've had with all these lawyer channels, whatever. It's what's that one channel? And I don't even follow these people or listen to them anymore, so I don't even know who's doing what and who's still around or whatnot. But I think he separated from USCCA and did his own channel, so I can't vouch or put my name. I'm not going to slander Tom Greaves' name and say he's one of these bootlicking Fudds lawyers who goes along with everything. But here he is talking about a wide net of people that USCCA doesn't cover, because not only are they not criminals, he's not talking about, he says, not people who have done crimes, but have become prohibited possessors from other reasons, whether they were involuntarily committed or deemed mentally deficient. And I've done videos on this, like, even showing up to a doctor or a psychiatrist and mentioning, a bout of depression or anything like that, can end you up in a loony bin and deemed, committed. So things like that. He mentions illegal users of THC or whatnot. I've done a video about that, how, they want you drugged up, and how they legalize pot and they legalize drugs, and, the lax drug laws everywhere. I mean, heck, in California, they just straight up give you centers to shoot up at and deliver you needles and crack pipes. So it's not even about, smoking a joint or whatnot. And even though that's an old video, but now it's actually being headed to the Supreme Court, whether or not marijuana users get to have their rights. And I don't know if you saw that video of Gorsuch's opinion, where he talks about the founding fathers and, how they talked about being a drunkard. And, he was like, the founding fathers, I forget who he mentioned, but he was like, he woke up in the morning and took a shot of whiskey. These people were drinking, all the time. And what defines, a drunkard? What is an alcoholic? And, they're basically saying someone who, goes to a party one time or, smokes a joint is now a prohibited possessor. And, you got this other video where they're talking about boyfriend loopholes. We've covered that bullshit before. And basically buying straw purchases or whatnot. And he goes on in that video and says the USCCA does not support these people because they're not law-abiding citizens. And this will be a recurring theme you hear out throughout his videos. And this is what it always was, like, we don't support these law-abiding citizens. There was another video clip where he talks about, I guess it was a Biden sign. That's how you know how old these things are. But he was talking about Biden signing some gun control bill, backdating crimes. So not only does your background check, apply to your adult life, they go back to anything that would become a crime while you were a minor. So, and he goes on there and says USCCA's position, these people are not law-abiding citizens, and we don't support violent offenders, even if they were minors. Now, personally, I've had friends who have gotten into fights and stuff like that as children, and have minor assault charges and battery when they were children, when they were underage, and now they are living completely different, separate lives from that lifestyle, as am I, right? Like, I've talked about the mistakes I made in my youth. I got into a couple fights, right? Luckily, I didn't receive any charges for those. But what happened to the old, back in the day, it was like, boys will be boys, right? And that whole mantra, and, now they're like, oh, well, if you have a charge as a minor, you're prohibited possessor, and you can no longer defend yourself or your future family for as long as you live. And the USCCA sees you as a non-law-abiding citizen. And that's their position. And that's what, you know, I've been trying to like cover, a lot of these gun organizations and Fudd lawyer channels and stuff like that. They don't actually support the Second Amendment, and they're more supporters of the law than they are their defendants, their clients they're supposed to be defending. And this is one of the gripes that people have covered about USCCA, as it's also in their contract that when you sign up for them, they're like, if you lose your case and they find out like whatever you were doing, the judge ends up siding with the state and said like, yeah, whatever you did was illegal, and you win, the USCCA's position is you weren't a law-abiding citizen, and we don't refund your money, or we don't back you or anything anymore because you were found guilty. Even if it's, these bullshit laws that we're, trying to fight against, they support it. And, I have to go back and look at their videos, because I remember they used to all be like this. It was like, oh, don't carry here, don't do this, or you can't have this on this firearm, and all these, bullshit laws that we're still dealing with today. During the Trump administration, I just saw that they came out and said, Pam Bondi was like, we don't even need a law. We don't even need anything on the books for the bump stock case. Like, we can still enforce it. So anyone who thinks this administration still isn't enforcing unconstitutional gun laws and bringing the tyranny to the people and bringing SWAT teams to the doors of freedom-loving patriots who are just exercising their rights, well, you're dead wrong. And the cops are still out there enforcing it. No one's doing anything to them. It's all the same thing. And, I went back and looked at some of these videos, because I haven't looked at the USCCA in, like, literal years. All these channels have pretty much disappeared out of my feed, because once I realized what a clown organization they were, I just completely, I might have even muted the channel. I might have hit on it like, see less from these guys, and then they eventually disappeared. But, so back, it looks like they changed script. Now it looks like most of their videos are like shill videos, like they're trying to sell holsters, and they're like, look at this holster and this magazine thing. But if you scroll back here far enough, you'll see the videos I'm talking about. Looks about like a year ago, there's a video here. Cars are gun-free zones. Does the USCCA defend that? Because, people who don't follow these tyrannical and unconstitutional laws, I guess by definition, aren't law-abiding citizens, right? And I forget, I guess that was a proposed law in Minnesota that, and they're doing it elsewhere, right? Like, Virginia just came out with another one. Same thing. You're not allowed to transport your guns anymore. So just a day out, going to the range, or, taking your firearm about your person now becomes a criminal offense, because your car is no longer, in certain states, your car is an extension of your home, right? Like, it's castle doctrine, and you get to defend yourself, in your domicile, and that's where, you're residing, and at the moment, your transportation is you're allowed to defend yourself. Well, in this proposed law, they're saying you can't do that. And the people who don't go along with that bullshit, the USCCA is gonna, call them law-abiding citizens. And there's another video here. As a gun owner, is it legal too? And oh, it looks like Tom Greaves is in this video as well. So, he was back doing that. Another video, viewer is afraid to carry because Tom Greaves is in that video again. I'm not even going to watch these videos. I can only speculate on what they're covering. But look, I've covered before. I have tons of family and friends that I've talked to that agree with my way of thinking and agree with what I'm saying, but they still don't carry. I recently just did a video about this. And it's because it's become so burdensome and so many laws and so many traps and everything that they're just like, you're going to get caught up some way. Right? You can't carry here, you can't carry there, you can't put this on your gun, you can't do that. And so they're like, it's too much trouble. So, I'm not going to do it. In the USCCA, when you get caught up with your, whatever, your bump stock on, your vertical grip, your extended magazine, your whatever, they're going to be like, well, you're not a law-abiding citizen. You go back to this video is 2 years old, but it says Illinois' gun confiscation is here. And, okay, so those who, resist the gun control and buy, at the minimum, not register or get a Fudd card or whatever they ended up doing in Illinois. I just posted a community post the other day of a woman who was carrying without her carry license or her Fudd card, which is a Chicago thing. And the cops are definitely going to enforce this. Now, damn well the USCCA ain't going to defend you if you meet these tyrannical badged thugs with equal force. I did another post, recently where some cops were harassing this guy. It was in a Virginia rally. And I said, if you return fire on these tyrants, believe me, there's no organization out there who's going to defend you against these, the badged thugs. And like I've always said, your favorite politician, the nightly news anchor or whatnot that you think is based, is going to be crying and our men in blue and, we support the officers and, that died in the line of duty. And, you already know my take, what did they die in the line of duty doing, right? Violating the rights and the liberties of the people. But there's another video here. Can you carry in the workplace? Avoid this mistake. What mistake? That you're working for some cucked faggots? That there's some kind of sign on the door? The USCCA position is, any of these constitutional lawyers should be fuck your employer. And fuck any order following law enforcement that would do anything about it. That should be it. Cut and simple. Short and simple to it. All these, unconstitutional laws and infringements mean nothing. But see, we're getting to a point where they know these officers are going to enforce it. The court's going to rule against you. They have all their people in place where you're gonna be found guilty for, exercising your rights, which lets we're already down the path of tyranny. We're already, it's what I've always said, like, we're already past the point our founding fathers would have taken care of this. Like, it should have been taken care of years and years, decades ago. And I'm going to try to wrap this up. We're already headed towards 20 minutes, and I haven't even covered these other organizations, but I did a video a while back on the NRA, and I still have this letter posted to my wall. And you can go back and look at that video. But the NRA sent out a letter talking about gun confiscation is coming or something like that. And it was asking for, donations. Well, the NRA hasn't defended like any gun legislation ever. Well, they're headquartered in Virginia. That's their main office, or their, I guess like that's where they started or they originated from. Well, they sure got their hands full with what's coming. Let's see what they do. Let's see what they comply with. Let's see who they defend. Or are they going to tuck tail and run? And, the days of Charles Heston are long gone. I mean, he's since passed, but, from my cold, dead hands should be the position of the NRA. And when these officers fire on citizens and citizens return fire and people on both sides perish and the civil war begins, the side of the NRA should be with the people. And so should the politicians and the patriotic Americans, and everyone should come to the defense of the people fighting against these tyrants. But we know it won't be true. We know that's not how it's going to go. And I've talked before about, this happened just a hop, skipping away up north in Maryland. I talked before about Beretta. They were based out of Maryland. And all the stuff went down, the assault weapons ban and the capacity magazines and all this. And Beretta just moved, right? Because that's all it is, man. And everyone's running. You're seeing all these posts lately of, I lived in California and, I moved to Virginia, or I'm from New York and I moved to Virginia and now it's happening again. And, keep on running. Keep on running from the fight. Your country is being conquered state by state, territory by territory. That's what I did in my video of balkanization. You can't run. This fight will come to your doorstep eventually. And everyone's waiting for the politician to save them. Everyone's waiting for something. You're on your own, right? That's it. You're on your own. And we all know what needs to be done. But, we can't talk about it. I see here, some people are, trying to do something. I saw Palmetto State Armory, PSA, one of the largest gun manufacturers, gun stores in the country, has put up, they're expediting Virginia orders, and there's news to come that they're going to be helping Virginia gun owners. And I posted a tweet like a week or two ago. It was during that rally where I saw that Magpul was giving out free mags. And I was calling on PSA and, Mossberg and mainly American companies, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, all this stuff. You need to discount your firearms. You need to be selling magazines, giving parts away. And I know that's, people are going to say, well, that's a bad business model and you can't just give everything away. Well, losing freedom is a bad business model as well. And if you truly represent this fight, don't tell me a couple lowers is going to break the bottom line, right? The last gun show I went to, a stripped lower was like $80. A full complete lower is like $150. At least, like a PSA or like a lower version, a DPMS Panther, Anderson Arms or something like that. You can get lowers, $150, $200, giving a couple of those away ain't gonna break the bottom line. Start doing raffles for rifles and whatnot. And people need to tell their, family and friends and get everyone as armed as possible, because we know the fight is coming. The fight's been here. Fight's been here for a while. And I'm just going to wrap it up there, but let me know what you guys think about these organizations, these lawyers, these people who claim to be for the people and for the rights of the people, but they're just as, bootlick and Fudds as the rest of them. And, they're literally going to be back in the blue till the end of time. And they'll never realize, it's beyond reproach. You could keep trying to debate these people and, cozy up to the politicians and, whatever. These AGs, these, DAs, the judges. We've talked about it over and over. It's a tiresome endeavor for sure, as how long I've been covering this and talking about it, and people still don't get it. But, until the next one, you know what it is, man. We are on our own. No one's coming to save us. So get right with God, because only God can save you. Freedom fighters out.